What if everything in your prepper pantry beyond 3 specific foods is just wasted money and wasted space? That sounds extreme, but the science actually backs it up. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why. Most people building emergency food supplies are doing it backwards. They're thinking about variety when they should be thinking about biochemistry. Today we're going to fix that. Welcome to my channel, where we cut through the noise and get straight to what actually matters when it comes to food, health, and survival. Let's start with a hard truth. Walk into the average prepper's storage room and you'll see the same thing every time. Shelves loaded with canned vegetables, dried pasta, crackers, oats, powdered milk, dried fruit, and probably 15 other items they grabbed because it felt responsible. The logic makes sense on the surface. More options mean better coverage, right? More variety means better nutrition. Except that's not how your body works. Your body doesn't run on variety. It runs on specific chemical compounds. Strip away every food label, every diet trend, and every marketing campaign, and you're left with a short, brutally simple list of what your body cannot survive without. 3 nutritional pillars: complete protein, usable carbohydrates, and essential fats. That's it. Every other food in your stockpile is either supporting one of those 3 pillars, or it's just filler. So what if you could cover all 3 pillars with just 3 foods? That's exactly what we're breaking down today. Let's begin with protein, because most people think they understand it, but they're missing a critical piece. You've heard that protein builds muscle. That's true, but that barely scratches the surface. Protein is the structural backbone of virtually every system in your body. Your immune cells are proteins. Your enzymes are proteins. The signals your organs send each other are proteins. Even the mechanisms your body uses to read and repair your DNA depend on proteins. Without adequate protein, your body doesn't just get weaker, it starts breaking down from the inside out. Here's where it gets more specific. Proteins are built from smaller units called amino acids. There are 20 of them that your body regularly uses. Think of them as the alphabet your biology uses to write every critical function. Now here's the part most people skip over entirely. 11 of those amino acids your body can produce on its own by converting other compounds. Those are called non-essential amino acids, not because they're unimportant, but because you don't have to eat them directly. The remaining 9, however, are a completely different story. Your body has zero ability to manufacture them. You have to consume them through food. These are the essential amino acids, and their names are histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan, and valine. If even one of those 9 is consistently absent from your diet, your body cannot complete certain proteins. The chain breaks, and when protein chains break at the cellular level, you get tissue breakdown, immune collapse, organ dysfunction, and eventually death. This is not theoretical. This is fundamental biochemistry. Now here's the problem with how most preppers handle protein. Rice is the king of survival foods. It's cheap, it stores forever, and it fills you up. But rice has a critical weakness. It's low in 2 essential amino acids, specifically lysine and threonine. That means if you're surviving on rice alone, you're technically eating protein every single day while your body is slowly being starved of what it needs to function. You'd develop protein deficiency symptoms within weeks, not because you're not eating, but because what you're eating is biochemically incomplete. Beans look like the obvious answer, and they are, but only halfway. Beans are rich in lysine and threonine, exactly what rice lacks. But beans have their own gap. They're deficient in methionine and cysteine. Survive on beans alone, and you hit a different wall with the same result: malnutrition despite eating plenty of calories. But here's where something almost elegant happens in nutrition science. When you eat rice and beans together, their amino acid profiles fit together like two puzzle pieces. The gaps in rice are filled by beans. The gaps in beans are filled by rice. The combined result is a complete protein source containing all 9 essential amino acids in the proportions your body can actually use. This isn't a modern discovery. It's not a nutrition hack someone figured out last decade. Cultures around the world independently arrived at this same combination thousands of years ago. Rice and lentils across South Asia. Rice and black beans throughout Latin America. Rice and soybeans across East Asia. Different ingredients, different names, different spices, but the same fundamental biochemical logic. These combinations survived because the people eating them survived. That's the oldest clinical trial in human history. From a practical storage standpoint, rice and beans are nearly unbeatable. Bulk bags of white rice can be found at warehouse stores for a fraction of what people spend on processed snacks. Beans, whether pinto, black, navy, or kidney, are similarly affordable and widely available. Both can be stored for extraordinary lengths of time under the right conditions. White rice, sealed properly in cool, dry storage, can remain viable for 30 years or more. Dried beans will comfortably last 10 to 20 years. Neither requires refrigeration. Neither requires special equipment to store. And neither is difficult to prepare even with limited cooking resources. But here's the problem that most survival food plans completely miss. And this is the part that genuinely matters for long-term health. Rice and beans together solve your protein and carbohydrate requirements. But there's a third nutritional category that both foods almost completely ignore: dietary fat. And not just any fat, specific essential fats that your body cannot produce internally, just like those 9 amino acids. If your stockpile doesn't include a reliable source of these fats, you are setting yourself up for a slow, invisible health collapse even while eating plenty of food every single day. For the last several decades, fat was the villain in the nutrition story. Low-fat everything flooded grocery store shelves. Food manufacturers stripped fat out of products and replaced it with sugar and refined carbohydrates to maintain taste. The public bought it, literally and figuratively. And what followed was a dramatic rise in obesity, metabolic disease, depression, and cognitive decline. The science has since shifted considerably. We now understand that the right fats aren't the problem. Their absence is. There are 3 primary families of fatty acids worth understanding. Omega-6 fatty acids are found in most vegetable oils and processed foods. Most modern diets have an enormous excess of omega-6. Omega-9 fatty acids are found in sources like olive oil and avocados and are relatively easy to obtain. But omega-3 fatty acids are a different situation entirely. Most people are chronically deficient in them, and that deficiency is quietly driving enormous health problems. Here's a fact that puts it in perspective. Roughly 8% of your brain's dry weight is made up of omega-3 fatty acids. These fats are literally part of the architecture of your brain cells. They're embedded in cell membranes throughout your entire nervous system. They enable neurons to communicate efficiently. When omega-3 levels drop, that communication degrades. The research on omega-3 deficiency is genuinely alarming. It's been consistently linked to depression, anxiety, mood instability, and in severe cases, psychotic episodes. The connection between low omega-3 levels and mental health disorders is one of the more robust findings in nutritional psychiatry over the last 2 decades. But it doesn't stop at mental health. Omega-3 deficiency accelerates the deterioration of cognitive function as you age. Brain volume decreases faster, memory declines sooner. The risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's increases significantly. And beyond the brain, chronically low omega-3 intake drives systemic inflammation throughout the body. That inflammation damages blood vessels, disrupts cholesterol regulation, raises blood pressure, and increases the likelihood of heart attack and stroke. Metabolically, omega-3 deficiency impairs your body's ability to manage weight and blood sugar. It makes insulin resistance more likely. It disrupts the hormonal signals that regulate appetite and energy storage. And at the surface level, you'll notice dry and flaking skin, brittle nails, hair that loses its strength, joints that ache, and wounds that take longer to close. Every one of those symptoms is your body signaling a fat deficiency. And every one of those symptoms would be present even if you were eating rice and beans every single day with adequate calories. So rice and beans alone are not the complete answer. They're 2/3 of it. The missing piece is omega-3 fat. And the most efficient, shelf-stable, affordable source of omega-3 fat is fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, and herring are among the most omega-3 dense foods on the planet. A modest portion of canned salmon a few times per week is enough to meet your body's requirements. And the key word here is canned. Canned fish is the prepper's answer to the omega-3 problem. It's widely available, inexpensive relative to its nutritional density, and has a shelf life measured in years rather than days. No refrigeration needed. No special handling required. Just open, eat, and get the exact fats your brain and body are built from. With these three foods together, the picture becomes clear. Rice covers your primary carbohydrate needs and contributes some amino acids. Beans provide the complementary amino acids to complete the protein picture. Fatty fish like canned salmon or sardines deliver the omega-3 fats that your nervous system, cardiovascular system, and immune system all depend on. This isn't a theory. It's a three-legged foundation built on decades of nutritional science. Now, you might be wondering about plant-based alternatives for the omega-3 piece. This is a fair question, and the answer involves some important nuance. Walnuts contain omega-3 fatty acids. Flaxseed oil is one of the most concentrated plant sources available. Chia seeds also provide a meaningful amount. These are all legitimate additions to a stockpile, especially if you or someone in your household has a fish allergy. But here's the scientific reality that you need to understand before you substitute plants for fish on the omega-3 front. The omega-3 fatty acids found in plant foods exist in a form called ALA, which stands for alpha-linolenic acid. Your body cannot use ALA directly for most of the functions that require omega-3s. It has to convert ALA into EPA and DA, the active forms. And that conversion process is strikingly inefficient. Most people convert somewhere between 5 and 10% of the ALA they consume. The rest is lost. Fatty fish provide EPA and DA already formed, ready for immediate use. There's no conversion step, no efficiency loss. Your body gets exactly what it needs in exactly the form it needs it. That's why fish remains the most effective and most practical omega-3 source for long-term survival nutrition. If you eat eggs or occasionally consume red meat, particularly from grass-fed or pasture-raised animals, those foods do contain some omega-3s, but the amounts are considerably lower than fatty fish, and neither stores practically for long-term emergency use without freezer capacity. For building a serious stockpile, canned fish wins decisively. Now let's talk about how to actually build this stockpile, because understanding the nutritional science is step 1. Executing it practically is step 2. Start with rice. Head to a warehouse store or a local grain supplier and buy in bulk. White rice is specifically what you want for long-term storage. Brown rice, while nutritionally richer in some respects, contains natural oils in the bran layer that go rancid over time. White rice doesn't have that problem. Look for long-grain white rice in 25 or 50-pound bags. Larger quantities mean lower cost per pound and fewer trips to restock. For beans, you have real flexibility. Pinto beans, black beans, navy beans, kidney beans, and chickpeas all provide comparable amino acid profiles. The differences between them are minor from a survival nutrition standpoint. Buy what's affordable and available in your area. Again, bulk sizing is your friend. 25-pound bags are common and economical. Storage matters enormously here. Airtight containers are non-negotiable. Food-grade plastic buckets with secure sealing lids are the standard choice. Keep them in a location that stays cool, stays dry, and doesn't get direct sunlight. Heat and moisture are the primary enemies of long-term food storage. Under proper conditions, white rice sealed in airtight containers can last 3 decades. Beans will comfortably hold for 10 to 20 years. Some people add oxygen absorbers inside their containers to further extend shelf life by eliminating the oxidation that degrades nutritional quality over time. For the fish portion, spend time in the canned fish aisle. Canned salmon is your primary target. It's rich in omega-3s and tends to be available in larger can sizes that offer better value. Sardines are an excellent option as well, often even higher in omega-3 content per gram than salmon, and they're typically very affordable. Mackerel and herring are strong choices too. Canned tuna is widely available, but worth noting that it carries lower omega-3 levels than the other options, so it's better as a supplement than a primary source. Buy on sale when possible. Stock a variety so you have options. Check expiration dates when purchasing and aim to build a stock that's as fresh as possible at the time of acquisition. Canned fish typically carries a shelf life of 3 to 5 years, though properly stored cans often remain nutritionally sound beyond that window. Here's a simple way to calculate your needs. If one person plans to eat fish twice a week, that's roughly 8 servings per month. Over a full year, that's approximately 100 servings per person. If a standard can contains 2 servings, you need around 50 cans per person for a 1-year supply. Run that math for your household size and planning horizon, and you have a concrete purchasing target. Keep plant-based omega-3 sources as a backup. Walnuts, flaxseed oil, and chia seeds all contribute. Store them carefully. Nuts and oils oxidize faster than rice and beans, so they need cooler, darker storage conditions and more frequent rotation. These are particularly valuable if anyone in your household cannot eat fish. Now let's address the practical realities of actually using this stockpile. Both rice and beans require cooking with heat and water. This means your emergency preparedness plan needs to include a way to cook without relying on your kitchen stove. A camping stove with extra fuel canisters is the simplest solution for most people. A wood-burning rocket stove is a more sustainable option if you have outdoor space. Solar ovens are a fuel-free alternative worth exploring. Whatever method you land on, use it before an emergency forces you to figure it out under pressure. Practice matters. Water planning needs to account for cooking. Rice and beans both absorb significant water during preparation. The common guidance of 1 gallon of water per person per day is typically quoted for drinking only. If rice and beans are your primary food source, you'll want to increase that estimate to account for cooking needs. This is a planning detail that often gets overlooked until it's inconvenient. Here's something practical that doesn't get discussed enough in survival food content. Flavor, eating the same base ingredients every day without variety, will wear on you psychologically long before it causes any nutritional problem. Stress, uncertainty, and disrupted routines already tax morale heavily during emergencies. Monotonous food makes that worse. Spices and seasonings are the solution. Salt, black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, cumin, chili powder, smoked paprika, curry powder, whatever flavor profiles your household actually enjoys. These items take up almost no storage space, cost very little, and last for years. A simple rotation of seasonings can turn the same rice and beans base into a dozen distinctly different meals. Hot sauce, soy sauce, and bouillon cubes are also excellent additions that punch well above their weight for flavor impact. If digestive sensitivity to beans is a concern, note that lentils and split peas tend to be gentler on the digestive system than whole dried beans. They also cook faster, which matters if fuel is limited. Rinsing dried beans thoroughly and soaking them overnight before cooking also reduces the compounds that cause digestive discomfort for many people. Let's step back and talk about why this three-food framework is genuinely different from the standard prepper approach. The conventional stockpile is calorie-heavy but nutritionally hollow. Shelf after shelf of pasta, crackers, white bread products, and canned goods that are mostly starch and sodium. You could eat from that stockpile for months and technically not starve while your body is simultaneously breaking down from protein deficiency and fat deficiency. The calories keep coming. The essential nutrients do not. And the symptoms of that mismatch, muscle wasting, cognitive decline, immune suppression, depression, deteriorating skin and joints, those symptoms accumulate quietly until they become severe. The rice, beans, and fish approach is fundamentally different because it addresses the actual biochemical requirements from the start. You're not just filling caloric needs. You're supplying all 9 essential amino acids, adequate complex carbohydrates for sustained energy, and the omega-3 fatty acids your brain and cardiovascular system depend on. That's not a minor distinction. That's the difference between a body that maintains its function over time and one that quietly degrades. There's also a significant efficiency argument. Rice is among the cheapest sources of calories available anywhere. Beans deliver more protein per dollar than almost any other food on the market. Even canned fatty fish, while more expensive per unit than rice or beans, is still highly economical when compared to trying to store adequate quantities of fresh protein or specialty freeze-dried meals. By focusing on these 3 foods as your foundation, you get maximum nutritional return for minimum cost and storage space. This approach also reduces decision fatigue. You don't have to wonder whether your stockpile is comprehensive enough. You don't have to cross-reference dozens of different foods to check whether all your nutritional bases are covered. The science is clear. The foundation is sound. You have complete protein, carbohydrates, and essential fats. Everything else you add is a bonus, not a requirement. That psychological clarity is genuinely valuable. During emergencies, cognitive load increases dramatically. Everything around you demands attention and decision-making.